Welcome, everyone who's come to watch and maybe watch later to Palimpsest, Layers of Discovery. We are 7 artists who connected during the dark days of the pandemic. We've never met in person. Actually, Stephanie and Denise met in person because the three of us are in Canada, but otherwise it's been an online relationship that we developed because we were all looking for some kind of community, I think, and connection during a difficult time. So something beautiful grew out of it. And we are Julie Brayton in Rhode Island, who specializes in incredible seascapes. And she grew up as a fisherman's daughter, so it's pretty authentic. Ross Berman in LA, he does the Jewish studio process and is inspired by the letter Chai. Lara Spadetto, an Italian lady living in the UK right now, who paints the most incredible, strong, feminist portraits, and really shares her feelings, deep feelings, without even speaking in her art. Stephanie McLean in Toronto used to play the music herself, but now is inspired in her visual arts by performers and their energy. Cheryl Wilcox, thank you for joining us from Australia. You're going to have to say that, which coast you're on for me, because I can't remember. And it's very early there because we did the daylight savings time thing. And Cheryl specializes in transmitting her love for where she lives through visual arts to everyone wonderfully. And she also has been a teacher for a long time. So we've all been learning from Cheryl as well. I'm Rose L. Williams. I'm in Vancouver. I'm literally beside the port where I live, on the water. I'm from Montreal and my heart is in Trinidad. I spend time there and half of my family lives there. I miss them very much. Since COVID, I haven't been able to visit. We are going to interview this lovely lady, Denise Buisman Pilger, today, who is in Saint-Jérôme, where I literally used to go for ice cream when I was a little girl. My dad would put us in the car on a Sunday and we would drive up to where there was this huge ice cream cone. It was outside the store and that's how they advertised. And we would have a wonderful Sunday getting ice cream. We're going to talk later more about our full project, but today we'll focus on what Denise does. Let's introduce Denise herself.
Thank you very much, Rose. I think I know where that ice cream parlor is, but I'm not 100% sure. I know there's one that I pass by when I go running where there's a big ice cream cone, so it must be that one. So yeah, my name is Denise. I was born in Holland, in Amsterdam to be precise, and funnily enough, I actually decided to leave the country, and that's funny because when I was very little, saying goodbye was like the most horrible thing to me. Like when I did swing practice as a kid, we went to this pool and I had to change in my bathing suit, and my mom would have to go up at one stairs because she would be in the restaurant area with a window, and on the other side of the window would be the pool, but that means I had to go up on the other stairs, and that was a big no-no for me. Well, and that sort of progressed from there into like going to school was not great the first couple of times. So yeah, saying goodbye has always been very, very difficult. So I could have never, ever imagined myself stepping on a plane and joining my husband in Fort Worth, Texas to go and live there forever and ever. Well, initially it wouldn't be forever and ever, but it sort of turned like 2 years sort of turned into, I don't know, it's been over 10 years now. So I don't know. But yeah, and that whole both the fact that it's difficult for me to say goodbye and the fact that I've been traveling around a lot has a big influence on the art that I create. I obsessively take photographs everywhere I go. I want to capture every single element, just because eventually I won't see it again because I'll have to say goodbye to it. So I try to capture every inch of a place that I visit, and then I use those photographs to create hand layered mixed media cityscapes, very powerful sort of, well, you can see them behind me, like black and white. And those are sort of condensed memories of the places that I've fallen in love with over the years. So that's me in a nutshell, I think.
Thank you. I don't think that's you completely in a nutshell. There's so many more layers to Denise, I'm sure. So what we're going to do is each of us are going to try and fit in a question for Denise. My question, I'll start with mine. I am fascinated by the photography element. Do you carry a camera? Do you use your phone? I noticed that there's often movement in the photos. So I'm just interested in how the whole photography thing developed for you.
That's interesting that you say it, because I remember you last week telling us about stealing your mom's camera and as a kid, and the film being very expensive. And I actually sort of discovered the magic of photography in art school. And that's where I learned to not care about how expensive the film is. Luckily, I didn't have to deal with that too long, because we switched to digital and now I can take as many photographs as I want, which is great. I do indeed own a DSLR camera, and that's what I bring usually on my trips. I will have it in my hands because I cannot carry it on. I need to have it accessible at all times. It's also the reason that I don't wear sunglasses anywhere, because I cannot photograph with my sunglasses on when I walk around. And yes, I do often carry that camera on a setting where I especially if I know that I'm going to be photographing a lot of people, I do have the longer shutter time, so I can sort of capture a little bit of that movement. And
do you find that people is your main subject matter?
I like to put them into my paintings. Yes, I do like to populate my cities, and I do like, because I feel they feel more alive when they're in there. But actually, the funny thing is, because you asked about a cell phone, I also do photograph with a cell phone, and this has sort of been born out of the time that I spent in Japan, because I love to capture all the people walking around in the kimono, and I didn't want to be, I don't like photographing people like pose, and a lot of Japanese people tend to pose for pictures, and I like more the spontaneous, like, so I would carry my cell phone around and I would sneak the pictures. Like I would be walking around like this, like I'd be looking on my phone and then just like snap a whole bunch of pictures like that.
Wonderful.
So both.
That's fantastic. That there's some little insight into your brain, and I love it. I'm going to hand it over to Stephanie, and she can ask her question.
So, Denise, I noticed over the last, I don't know, 2 weeks or something, these daily postings on social media with sneak peeks into 13 paintings that you just released on Monday. Now, I also noticed, like, I kept seeing sold, sold, sold. So I'm just like, are there going to be any left to be purchased? So a couple of questions I have for you is, one, were these created for a specific event? And two, are there any left? And three, how can we get those? How can we purchase them, view them and purchase them from you?
Okay, well, yeah, I have indeed released 13 new paintings, which is the largest amount of paintings I have ever released in one go, because usually I'll just do one or two at a time. But I had decided that I had this really cool plan where I thought, oh, it would be really cool if I took like 12 paintings, which turned into 13 somehow, and make them all sort of fit together in a theme and then release them all at once. That would be interesting. And I was supposed to make that happen before. I had sort of planned this for myself, that it would happen in October last year. And then, well, life sort of got in the way. So it's been about a year that I've been working on them. It's a little longer than I had planned. So they were not really for a specific event per se, but they were with the idea in mind to try out how it would work for me, just releasing everything all at once, how that feels and how that works, like in the studio and everything. So that was a really interesting experience. I think I would like to do it again, only maybe not with 13 pieces, because that may have been a little bit too much, especially since 2 of them are like 40 by 60 inches, so quite large. So it was quite expensive. And yes, they have been very popular. I sold 3 of them already, so there's still 10 of them left, amongst which are the 3 pieces behind me. They are still
beautiful.
here in my studio, and they are available on my website, for
What
which
size
I
are
will
they?
post.
What size are they?
That one over there and the one next to it are 24 inches wide, 36 inches high, and the one on the wall over there is 30 by 40 inches.
Nice.
So
Great.
nice sizes.
Mhm.
And that you also, for the people who are in Canada and mainly in the Toronto area, they will be able to view them in person. When I am there in April, I'm going to be at the interior design show from 7 to 10, April 7 to 10. And that is in the Metro Convention Center in Toronto, the South Building. And then I'm going to Toronto again at the end of April, from the 1st to the 24th. I will be at the Elizabeth, is it the Queen Elizabeth Building, for the Artist Project. So
wonderful. That's exciting.
Cool.
So you'll have
Thank you.
all 13. You'll have all 13 at those shows.
well, I don't think I will have space in my booth for all 13 of them, but all 13 will be coming with me. So if you have a specific one that you really like to view, then I can always pull it out from the back for you.
And then, are they available as digital prints?
Yes, they are.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So no one
All
has
my
to be
paintings.
disappointed.
No, exactly.
And but there are only 10 left, though, right? There are 10 left of the
Yes,
13.
originals.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Denise. I'm really excited for your shows for you.
Me
Actually.
too.
And congratulations on the sales. That's always inspiring for every artist. It makes us feel like, okay, it's going to happen. Wonderful. And of course, in our little circle, we are so supportive of each other that I almost feel like I sold them for myself right now. Okay, I'm going to hand the next question over to Ross C. Berman.
Thanks, Rose. So Denise, you talk about the obsessive photographing of a place, and I mean, that could just be completely overwhelming, especially if you really love a place. So how do you go about choosing what you'll make and how you'll make it?
You mean in terms of artwork or in terms of photographs?
In terms of the artwork. Like, you'll go through your photographs, and then what kind of process do you go to arrive at what you'll do? Is it completely intuitive? You like just look at them all at once and you find, oh, this is the thing that says it to me. Like, how do you do that?
It's I guess a little intuitive, as that I create all my compositions on the computer first. So I'll sit behind my computer, and for example, with the project I did for the 13 paintings, I knew I was going to paint Japan for these 13 paintings, mostly because it's a place where I've most recently lived and I miss it very much. So I really wanted to feel that connection to the country. And it really helped me to have a little bit of Japan on my easel every day and sort of imagine myself walking around those streets while painting. So I already could narrow it down to the type of photos that at least the chunk of photos that came from that country. And then it's sort of, I sort of think about, oh wait, which city is interesting? Well, I want to work with Tokyo, and then I'll take all my photos of Tokyo and I'll go through them and I'll look for an image that sparks my imagination. And it can be a building, it can be a person, it can be like a street view, it can be anything really at this point. And when I find that one image that sparks for me, I will take that and I'll put it in my documents. And from there, I will start looking for images that fit into that scene. So I will, if I have one building or a street view, I know I'm going to need buildings with that type of angle. So I'll keep circling through those photos and building my compositions one at a time. And that's also the reason why I went from 12 to 13, because what's often happens is that I'll be going through my photos and I'll find multiple images that spark an imagination. So I'm having one on the go, and then I'll be like, oh, I really like that one, but it doesn't fit here. I'll start a new document. This is going to be a 36 by 48 painting because it's a very cool image and I want it large. So
Yeah,
that's how that works.
for those of you who haven't seen Denise's more architectural pictures, I mean, I don't know how you're getting there. They're incredible because you're just showing like this organically grown city compressed in time, the way that only a montage can do. And they're so alive, but they're architectural. They're really quite amazing.
They really represent my memory of a place. I sometimes call them condensed memories because that's really what they are.
Yeah, and you populate them with the people that you miss.
Yes.
Yeah. That you don't want to say goodbye to.
Exactly.
I'm starting to get it. And that's a fascinating little glimpse there, Denise. I'm going to throw it over to Julie and ask what her question is.
So I noticed on your website that you say, I help you stay connected to the times and places you had to leave behind through your work, and that you want to help people relive happy memories of familiar places. And you also like to take the photographs yourself. But I got thinking about world conditions and what's happening in Ukraine and wondered if, one, you've either taken pictures of Ukraine, or if someone from Ukraine wanted you to help them hold on to their memories, would you be able to do that?
Good
Ukraine
question.
would be, it's a great question. Thank you for that, Julie. Ukraine would be difficult because I have not visited there. And I wish I had, because it from what I've seen online of how it used to look, it's gorgeous. And I know many of those Eastern European places are the architecture is mind-blowingly beautiful. So I have so many places in Europe that I still want to visit. And for me, it's although I do occasionally use photographs from other people, it would be really difficult for me to create a painting of a place that I have not personally visited, because I really, for me, the integrity of the artwork really comes from the fact that I have my own memories and my own experiences in that place, and I really want to sort of capture the place how I experienced it. But I guess in this case, if it would be really meaningful to somebody, and I would have enough time to speak with them and learn about how they experience the place, and through them get that like mind image of that city. And then on top of that, I would need, like, the problem with using photographs in the way that I use them is that I need buildings and people to be on the photograph, all in one, like all in all, like the entire building needs to be on there from top to bottom, and the entire person needs to be on there from top to bottom. And I also need the photos to have like similar angles. So when I photograph, I know in my mind that I'm potentially going to be using those photographs. So I know that if I see a super interesting building, I'm going to walk around that building and I'm going to photograph it from not just one angle, but like all 4, 5, 6, 7 angles, just so I know that, and I know that sometimes I need to go lower to the ground, sometimes I need to go higher to the ground, because I know the type of images that I use. And it's really difficult for me to do that with somebody else's photographs, because quite often they are not taken with the same idea in mind. So it would be complicated, I think. Thank you. That's a really great question.
Thank you so much, you guys. How about Cheryl? What's your question, my dear?
I wanted to ask something very similar to Julie's, because I wanted to ask if you actually did commissions for people. So you've really answered that. But on the other side, how long does it take you to do these works? Because I just see you always working. I do.
I am to the contrary to many other artists, I am a very, very organized person. My brain just has a very organized way of thinking. And same goes for my process. My process is very organized, I guess. So it's all these little processes that sort of follow each other. So I first create everything on the computer, and then I go into a sort of a transfer process where I have this chunk of time where I'm just like creating these things that need transferring photos so they can go onto the panels. And then I create a bunch of panels at the same time. I prep them with the paper and the paint and everything. And my whole studio is covered. The floor is covered with all the panels, and I cannot walk anywhere. So I can't do anything else but prep these panels. And then I'll go and move on and transfer everything all at the same time. So it's a lot of like different steps. So I'm always working at multiple paintings at the same time. But if I calculate it, the funny thing is for me, because I work in different sizes, it doesn't really make much of a difference whether I work on a like a 36 by 24 inch painting or a 40 by 60 inch painting. It takes about the same amount of hours. So I would estimate it kind of depends on how complex a painting is, how many photographs are in there. And like, for example, the kimonos, they take a lot longer than if I have somebody who's just dressed in a red shirt, for example, because just painting a kimono can take me like 3 to 5 days, depending on how many colors are in there. But I think overall it's about 80 to 120 hours per painting, round and about, just like working time, because there's a lot of drying time in between. So in real time, it can take up to 6 weeks for a painting to be done from start to finish.
So you need a huge studio.
Well, it's not that large.
That's the dedication of an artist. I just want to say that is the dedication that everybody here puts into their work. Lara, what is your question for Denise, please?
My question is about the process. How do you process your painting? From the photos, you choose the photos, but actually, how do you do your painting?
Yes, well, I work with a technique that is called image transfer. I use different types of image transfer, but basically what happens is that I print my image, and then I work with multiple photographs. Like Ross explained, my cities are built up out of different photographs, and instead of just printing my one thing, I print every single photo individually, because I want to control every single layer of the painting, because all these photos are going to be layered one on top of the other. So what happens with an image transfer is that you print a photo, and then you use an acrylic medium that holds on to the pigments of that photograph. And then you take away all the paper, and you're left with what is called an acrylic gel skin. It's basically a piece of acrylic that has the pigments of the photograph embedded into it. And it's a little transparent, as you can see. So this allows me to, before I put it on my panel to actually put colors on the back of this. So the front of the image stays intact while I can put a base color behind and already give myself an idea of how the colors in my painting are going to flow before I actually start painting. Because after all of these have gone onto the panel, I actually go in and paint over every inch of everything, like including all the blacks to highlight them more, because I find the prints are too soft and not the black's not strong enough. And also the whites, I find there's a little bit of a difference between the white shining through the skin. So I will cover the entire everything that is white, including all the teeny tiny details. I will go over every inch of the painting and then add all of the little things in there. So it's a bit of a process.
This is the skin, but then you put on the canvas the part of the skin that
this entire thing, yeah, I paint on the back, so the base colors are there, and then this is the thing that I glue on with another acrylic medium, and they go onto the panel, one on top of the other on top of the other, and I can do that because they are transparent. So if I, for example, have a tree, I can put this tree on top of here, and the building, you can see it through the tree.
You can see.
Yeah.
But do you try? Do you put all the skin on the canvas and try, or do you have your idea before that you?
I used to do that way in the beginning when I first started, and I found that it was complicated because I had to run back and forth to the printer to resize everything. So it was a big waste of paper. So now I just do my whole composition on the computer in Photoshop, and then I can resize and refit things as I like. And then I print every layer, every Photoshop layer individually. And then I sort of have to measure everything out to see where it needs to go.
Okay,
And
thank
then,
you.
I build it from there.
Are you using an inkjet or laser printer for this process?
I use a laser printer for this process.
Okay, that's very interesting. So essentially you have painted over every single thing despite using a photograph to begin with.
Yes.
That's why it's delicate and you need to protect it.
Yes.
Yes. So you are very familiar with working in layers.
I am, yes.
And that's what we're doing as a group. We're doing a project where we're layering our individual styles and genres onto one painting. And we're snail mailing it to one another throughout the globe to where we all are, all the way down to Australia. And over to UK. And the theme is transformation on this piece that we're doing right now. But we plan to be doing a bigger project where the size gets bigger and the ambition grows, I think. The connection between us all is just growing like a weed. And I love weeds because I work with plants. So it's filling my creative well, and I'm just enjoying it so much. I wanted to throw it back to Denise to talk about her event and her release for the last little bit.
Thank you very much, Rose, and thank you all for your great questions. This is so awesome. It's been really fun. I have, like I said before, I have two really big events coming up in April. I'm going to be at the Interior Design Show from April 7 to 10, which is at the Metro Convention Center in Toronto. And then again in Toronto at the Queen Elizabeth Building for the Artist Project from April 21st to 24th. And then all the way in September, I am also going to be joining Rose in Vancouver for the interior design show in Vancouver, and that's somewhere in September. So we'll get a chance to say hi in person.
Oh, I didn't even know that till now. How exciting.
I haven't heard, I know it wasn't certain for a while there, but it is now. So
That's
I have
great.
some cool stuff coming up. And yeah, the paintings, all 13 of them are now available. You can find them on my website, which is artistabroad.com. And I'll be posting little teeny tiny videos of them every day on my social medias. So you can join me there for all that good stuff.
We can get to know the people that you've been missing.
Yes, exactly. Oh, and one more thing. Lovely Stephanie and I are going to be on CBC News at 6 p.m. tomorrow to talk about this whole lovely project.
CBC Montreal.
CBC Montreal, yes.
Congratulations. And it's been wonderful to talk to you guys again. I look forward every week to connecting. And we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks,
So good to
Cheryl, for
see you
joining
all.
us so early. We love you.
You see how it's still dark.
Thank you so much. So appreciated, my dear. Really appreciate it.